Hey everybody, welcome back to part 2 of painting the Red Gobbo Surprise mini diorama by Games Workshop. I'm going to start this video by first of all apologising. At the end of the last video I did get to a certain point on the Red Gobbo himself and had to stop because the memory on my phone had run out. And I tried to start it again earlier on, but the memory on my phone decided just not to play games at all. So I did record little bits, as you can see, before realising the phone memory had died. So I have now cleansed the memory on my phone. It is ready to go again. As you can see, I have, in that process of making that, I did add extra colours, and I'm sorry you've missed that out, but I mean, you get the idea. I'm applying base coats to the miniature. You've not really missed a great deal, I don't think, but I did try and promise that I would make these videos so you can see the painting of all of the miniature. And this one, there's about 5 or 6 minutes worth of painting I did, which is now lost, so I'm sorry about that, folks. But onwards and upwards, so here we are applying the base red coat to the Red Gobbo. I realised in my last video I talked a little bit about the lore of the Red Gobbo. I didn't do it any justice. I find his origins amusing, but this week, since I made that video, Games Workshop have indeed released a proper Lore Masters video on the origins of the Red Gobbo. I highly recommend going and watching it. It's very fun. And again, I do not work for Games Workshop. I am in no way affiliated to them. Please don't, please don't think I'm trying to advertise their wares necessarily. I just recognise good material when I see it, and it's funny. So yeah, if you are a fan, if you are a Warhammer subscriber, Warhammer TV subscriber, heartily recommend it. It made me chuckle. And if you're not, well, that's cool too. You do you. But yeah, there is an official lore video on the Red Gobbo. It's very funny, it's very insightful, and for anybody who's been in the hobby long enough, it's quite nostalgic. Yeah. Anyway, I digress. So yeah, so this is very much just applying those base colours, as I said in the previous videos and what have you. Again, I want to stress, these are not tutorial videos. I have, since the last recording, I've had a very nice viewer get in touch. They might put a comment in one of the previous videos. I think it was number 1 or 2 of the Stormcast Eternal miniseries. I think his name's Joe. I don't know. If anybody's interested, go and have a look at the comments. And he did ask what recipe I used for how I base my miniatures. I did answer his query in the comments and suggestions, so I'm not going to go into it now. If you are interested, please just go and have a look. But I only raise it because he raised, well, first of all, he paid me a very nice compliment and encouraged me to, I am a fledgling channel. I can't remember his exact wording, but it was very encouraging. It was very nice. And I'd just like to say thank you. It was a very nice thing you said. It was very encouraging. Again, I am only doing this little video series for fun, and I'll continue to do so for as long as it is fun. But it's always nice when people say kind things to you for what you've done. So thank you. forgive me. I have genuinely forgotten your handle on YouTube. If you are watching this video, you know who you are. Please don't forget. Please don't think that my forgetting your name is a slight. I just have a notoriously bad memory. But thank you again. It was nice. I hope my answer to your question about the recipe helped. If you've got videos of your own similar to my own, please do link them in the comment. I'll happily come and give you a watch. You know, I'm very much about the making a nice community of like-minded, nice people who are just there to help and support each other and just enjoy each other's work. The internet in general is full of a lot of negative content. Well, yeah, let's leave it at that. Negative content. All over. You know, I'm not pointing fingers to any one channel or media platform or anything. It's just the internet can be an unkind place. So it's nice when, you know, those of us who just set out to make nice videos, as I'm trying to do, have nice things said about our work and our little channels. I hope to repay the same in kind. But yeah, it's just nice. And it was very flattering. Since I started this little project, I've now had a good number of views across my videos. Nothing groundbreaking. No, I'm not exactly a good friend of mine pointed out that apparently people get paid for a lot of views and stuff. I knew there were professional YouTubers out there in the world, but I had no idea that's how it worked. I will stress in previous videos, I have said I'm nearly 45. I am not a young man. This is all very new to me. I've watched plenty of YouTube videos in my time, but I wouldn't know where to begin. You know, on that side of things. Yeah, it's fun. I'm having a lot of fun with it. I hope you are too. I hope you're enjoying it. And if you're not, well, that's cool too. Thanks for giving me a go, so to speak. And if this isn't your cup of tea, well, that's cool. I hope you do find it. What I will say is, what some of you might notice is that I'm putting very, very basic fire colours onto the end of the fuse and the smoke there. This is deliberate, and obviously it will not be left like that. Much later on in the process, I will be I will be doing some wet blending to make it all look more smoky and what have you, but I like to put these base colours in just as a guide, if nothing else. To be fair, the fuse will probably be one of the last things I do because of the wet blending, and I'll require the gobbo to be stuck on base so I can use the handle and really get a good handle on the miniature. Yeah, that's why I've done that. So there we go, folks. That's the base colours more or less on, I think. You can see that as I've been holding the gobbo, bits have flecked off, like the end of his nose, his knuckles, his boots. I only put all quite watery black on there anyway, and that's cool. Bits of the red, I imagine, are going to rob as well. As with the Stormcast Eternal, as I apply the washes, that will give it that bit more depth to the model, and then it's, as you saw with the Stormcast, applying the washes will give it that depth, and then after the washes, I'll reapply these base colours just to give the pigment of the various sections more boldness, more vigour, if you will. But yeah, there we go. So that's the base colours done. I shall get on to the washes, as we're only about 10 minutes into this video. So let's start back on with the base itself, the actual, what the red Gobbo's chimney that he's standing on, if you will. Let's bring that back into shot. So just, you know, a better painter than me, a more professional YouTuber than me, would have had all of his paint set up rather than just in the box at the side. But no. So I'll swap up my brushes. I'll use a different brush for my washes. Let's get some washes in. Also, this is one of my favourite parts of the process. I might have covered this in the previous video, but it's just so, well, it's quite relaxing, I won't lie. I do enjoy it. It's kind of nice. It's you're very definitely adding a layer of, for want of a much better phrase, an extra level of context to the miniature. I know that's perhaps not the right phrase, especially not when describing artwork. It might be, actually, to be fair. I'm not a professional. But it just feels like when you add the washes, it adds that nice extra layer. Dare I say? Well, it is a literal layer, but it feels like you're doing the. It's becoming more of a thing rather than just colour by numbers, as I've covered in previous videos. It actually feels, yeah, more real, more. I'm not sure what I'm talking about here. It gives it more depth. It makes it pop better. Makes it look more like the model that you're aiming for it to finally look like. Yeah, I think that's where I was getting at. And it's just, again, from a physical perspective, it's actually quite calming and relaxing. Just applying the washes, watching them sink into the depths of the model. It's nice. It's fun. Now you will be aware that those icicles that are dripping down there are getting covered with Agrax Earthshade. Not ideal, given, you know, realistically, such an icicle will probably be quite clear. That's fine. As I've covered in previous videos, making mistakes is all part of the process. And in this case, it's not really a mistake, it's just accepting this is part of the process. You know, to get the Agrax Earthshade really into the nooks and crannies of the chimney stack, it's going to spill over. It's the nature of liquid, I guess. Path of least resistance and all. We all remember our school day sciences. And that's fine, I don't mind that. Once I come to apply the layers later on. And bear in mind, like as with the Stormcast, the snow effect will be arguably one of the last things I do paint anyway. Because especially on the chimney stack, it's the outermost layer of the piece. So you want to get those inside pieces done right. Which will mean the outside, the bits that are getting in the way of a brush. And again, you know, you should always try to be neat, but there's a certain degree of, I'm just not that neat at the end of the day. There's going to be a little bit of spill at this point, bleed over into the icicles. That's fine. It's fine. I mean, I'll be applying a watered down shade of Drakenhof blue to the snow. And that's really dense, so that might spill over into the brown. I hope it doesn't, but it might. And that's what I was talking about just now when I said it brings it to life. It gives it that depth. That's what I mean. Just there, you know, it's still wet. It's still very early doors, but it makes it pop a little better. It just looks nicer. That's why I like doing this stage. Now, Seraphim Sepia, I think. Oh, yeah, there you are, Seraphim Sepia. since the last video as well, I had a look at the picture of the model on the GW website, mostly so I could just get a real grasp of what's going on inside of this sack. The way I'm painting this, as I stressed previously, I normally use like jeweler's lenses, you know, the magnifying glasses that sit on your head, and the model's normally a lot closer to me so I can see the detail a lot better, but for the purpose of this video, you know, that's not really feasible, and that's fine. But I did do a bit of investigation, and there is a lot more detail in there than I anticipated. So, for example, I don't know if you can see it on the video or not, but right here, next to the brush, is a little D6. How cool is that? And I'd missed it last time because I just, white against white kind of job. So I will be, when I come around to doing the layering and the edge highlight effects, the detail painting later on the contents of the sack, and there's like on the Gobbo himself, he's got a little candy cane in one of his pockets. Completely missed it. I will be paying attention to those bits because it's a lovely little model. It's a nice little, it's a nod to Christmas, it's a nod to fans. Like I said, like last time, I noticed that the Imperial Aquila is part of the embossment on the metal railings. So cool. Yeah. Once again, kudos GW, you did a good job. Fun. I think I'll actually put a bit of Seraphim Sepia on the edge of the paintbrush here, just to give it that, yeah, I like that. You know, I'll give it to the, I think the Seraphim Sepia will work quite nice for the red as well. Ooh, it does. Okay. Now let's get the, I think, Null Oil in next for the actual slate and the railings. I'm going to do the Drakenhof blue last because there is going to be an element of watering that down. I'm still in focus on it. Yeah, I am. Yeah. I have since watched back a few of my own videos as well. Which I suppose shouldn't come as a surprise, because you'd like to think that the content creator of someone on YouTube would watch back their own material when they're editing and post-production. Well, I think we've all seen enough of my videos to see I clearly do no post-production. That might be a thing I look into down the line if I invest in some better equipment and what have you. Maybe make some nice like title cards in there and some, you know, all of that good stuff that you see on better YouTubers than me. But for now, new. But I thought, you know what? I will watch my own videos. Well, that's not true. I did watch the first couple because I was just fascinated to see what would happen. And I wasn't disappointed. I thought, yeah, but I kind of then just thought, right, well, this works and I like it. I'll whatever. So I have since been watching back, like I think I'm up to video 4, I think I am now. Yeah, I think it was video 4. And as I said, one of the things I did notice is just how often I would go out of focus or out of shot. And, well, it's frustrating. I apologise. Which is why I'm now trying new things like hooking my finger onto the lip of the palette, so I've got like a fixed point for the model to sit at. It seems to be working in that looking at the viewfinder on my phone, it doesn't seem like this is going off. No, it's not losing focus. The subject matter isn't moving around too much. It's still doable. You know, it's not quite how I'd like to handle the model, but I don't do this for every model I paint, so it's not the end of the world. So So I am learning. I'd like to think I am, dare I say, getting better. And if not better, certainly more proficient anyway. So apologies to my kind viewers who watched the early stuff. It was a bit, it was a bit rough, wasn't it? I'll be the first to admit. Those first couple of videos, woo! Those lovely people who've given quite a lot of views to that very first one, actually. Thank you. Thank you for sticking with it. I hope they've gotten better since. They certainly seem to have gotten better from a focus perspective. You know, technically, that's what I was looking for. They seem to be technically better, if not the quality and the production values aren't any necessarily better. At least the technically seems more technically on point. Okay, right, next. You know, I know I just said I'd use the Drakenhof Blue next, but I've just realised that of course there are the gifts and the baubles and the lights. So I will start with the. I'll still go to blue last because it's such a heavy bleed. The blue, if you don't get it right. I'd rather put some of the other colours in first. So let's go with red first. I mean, to be fair, Carabao Crimson's also quite a heavy bleed. You know, it's a very dense pigmented paint. And sorry about that, folks. I can smell smoke outside, so I think someone's having a cigarette outside my window. Yeah, Carabao Crimson, sorry, is quite dense too, but it's, well, as you saw with the Stormcast, I mean, Drakenhof Nightshade is, oof, it's dense. Okay. Maybe. Oh, you know what? Let's get the Seraphim Sepia out again for the gold. But Chris, I hear you cry. You use Reikland Flesh Shade on the gold for the Liberator. You're alright. I did. And I have no reason for switching it up apart from I fancy a change. Still gives a nice warm glow to the gold, just not quite as reddish. Where are you? There we go. Cassandora Yellow. Cassandora Yellow is another ink wash that's quite intense, as you'll see. I might put that on the gold as well, actually, give it a really nice. Oh yeah, that worked quite nicely. Oof, good lord, someone's having it's a really strong cigarette as well. Or it could actually be a fire, to be fair. I think I said in a previous video I'm going to make this a candle. I think. Yeah, I think that's all the washes I need to put on. Oh, the blue, of course, the blue. Keep witching on about it throughout the video and don't actually apply it. Yes, so I'm going to put it on raw first because there's a few points on the model which are quite blue. The bauble, for example, there at the front, that needs quite a, a dense blue on it to really bring it out. And the wee present in the back, for example, in the sack, really want to get that blue in there to really make the blue stand out quite royally or quite regally, especially with the blue and gold. It looks just good, doesn't it? It brings out it really makes the blue pop. And same on the fairy lights here. And I'll be doing the same, I imagine, on the Gobbo, where he's got quite blue bits on. However, the snow, and I said earlier I'm going to water it down because it is quite dense. And again, I'm going to use the same technique as I used when I was watering down things with the Stormcast. It's just nothing new. It's just a nice 1-to-1 mix of Lamy Medium and Drakenhof Nightshade. And I really don't mind if anything, it might be a bit more Lamy Medium, to be fair. But you'll see why, because when I start to apply the blue to the white that is going to be the snow, it's blue. And this is watered down Drakenhof, so as you can imagine, if it had gone with it straight on as it is, yeah. But as we covered in the previous video, the Stormcast video, the beauty of washes is they are very liquid. You can afford to spread them out. You don't need to worry too much about constantly re-dipping your paint, your brush into the paint itself. Every now and then a little bit, I suppose, but especially with Drakenhof Blue, because it's such a... I mean, look at it, it's really, really dense. Yeah. But as that dries, it will fade. It will be a little fade. Fade. It will fade as it dries slightly. Not a great deal. But it won't be quite as dense where it's pooled up at the moment, for example. It's quite an abundance of the Drakenhof, but as it dries, it won't be quite as dense. At least I don't think it will. It's not done in the past anyway. And as we've seen, I do like to layer up my whites quite boldly, to be fair. Especially with snow, because snow generally, unless it's muddy snow, is quite brilliant and crisp. And that's what I'll be aiming for. But yeah. Where the footprints there, where the Gobbo's been climbing on the roof, you could afford to leave those a little darker, say. Compressed snow and all that. And I may do. I'll see how I feel when I get around to that point. Oof, that's dark. That's really... There we go. See, the mix isn't quite as good there for the Lamy Medium, as you can see, because it's a lot more... The blue's a lot more potent. It's a lot stronger a mix there. One of those where it's a oops, kind of. And that's fine. As I covered in the first mini-series where we were painting the Stormcast, you're gonna make mistakes. There's gonna be some bleed over of inks and washes. I mean, yeah, the more professional, competition-winning, outstanding painters out there in the world, I imagine they might even wait between aspects of the model, so they might apply the brown as I did to the chimney stack and wait for it to dry before they apply other paints. I don't know. I don't know their process, but again, I'm not a professional. I'm just enjoying doing what I'm doing. But see, that's already looking a lot better just with the addition of the washes. I'm quite happy with that. Obviously, it's not finished yet, but it's that depth where you're going to start adding the brighter colours to really lift the model. Yeah, quite happy with it so far. Yeah. Anyway, let's shift back over to the red Gobbo himself. Just put this on my little shelf over there to dry. Here he is, the Red Wonder. I know I mentioned in the previous video that the bomb itself I might make to look like a candy cane. GW, like I said, I have looked at the official picture of it since. I've done exactly the same thing, but they've gone with like a peppermint candy cane, like green and white. I'm not sure if I'm going to go with that. If I do the candy cane thing, I'll go with red and white, I think. I don't know. I'm not 100% sure myself yet how I'm going to approach that, but we'll see. If I don't make too good of a job of it, I might just paint it all red as a traditional stick of TNT, but we'll see. We'll see how it goes. So let's begin shading the green Gobbo, the red Gobbo. I'm going to start off with shading his skin. I'm using Bale Tan Green. There's an argument to be made. Since I applied the base colour of, I think I used Wire Green. I think GW actually use a lighter shade of green as the base for goblins. The notion being that, of course, the small diminutive members of the greenskin race typically have lighter skin than their more brutal, bigger cousins. Well, that's fine. You know, it's a one way to go. I will certainly attempt to make, as I layer up, I will attempt to make his skin that little bit lighter than, say, an orc. But I'm not too fussed. For a start, I'm not that good of a painter. You know, he's a green skin. If he's green and he looks clean and presentable, I'll be happy. You know it, folks, I've just spilt an ink wash. Happens to us all. Shouldn't take me too long to clean it up, so apologies. Bit of a teaching moment, a learning moment for any would-be hobbyists out there who are thinking of getting into the hobby. You are almost certainly going to spill paint at least once in your career. It happens, especially washes, because they're so liquid. It's why I put down this crafting mat that's, as you can see, on my desk. It's one of the reasons I do use a crafting mat for spills, etc., etc. I mean, you should always endeavour to be careful. It's a bit difficult when you've got a rig in front of you. But, yeah, as you can see, spilt the paint because I'm a numpty. And again, a better YouTuber would perhaps cut the video there, edit it so that comes back to it later on and say, "Oh, sorry about that, folks. I had to do this, this, and this." But at this point, I'm not that better YouTuber. I don't have any film editing software. I wouldn't know where to begin if I had any. I've never actually done any film editing, really. Well, that's not true. I've done a little bit using free apps like Movely. I'm not sure Movely would be the right choice for this kind of video. I think I'd need something a little more robust. I could be wrong. Again, if this channel does take off, and it looks like, oh, you know what, it might be worthwhile to invest a bit more in editing and all of that, then I will give it the good old college try, and I will certainly look into paid and unpaid video software. But as I'm still very much a beginner and a rank amateur at this, well, we can all just have a giggle at my misfortune. How about that? To be fair, I didn't actually, even though I spilt the paint, didn't make too much of a mess. Quite chuffed with. Yeah, there's the green wash on his skin. Then I'm going to move on to, oh, you know what I didn't do? I didn't paint. He's got a wee tabard there just coming underneath his belt buckle. I was going to paint that bone. Yeah, I bet I had. Won't take me too long to do that. I'm already 35 minutes into the video, so it's not too bad. You'll notice this is not the usual brush I use for applying base paints. And that's fine. It does what I need it to do. Anywho, it's a bit thick actually, that. There's a nice example of overloading my brush. So I think the next logical step is I think Nuln Oil. Yeah, I think Nuln Oil. Now what you will notice is I'm going to use Nuln Oil on the white of his fur rather than the blue, because snow is nice and crisp and clean. Goblins are generally not. Even one as vaunted as the red Gobbo himself, they're not noted for the cleanliness. So I quite like the idea of the white fur on his coat to look a little grubby, shall we say. I think it's amusing. Again, I will be layering it up, so it won't be, the finished article won't look too dark, but I quite like the idea of his coat, the white on his coat, just to be a little bit manky, a little bit, ugh. I have watered it down. I have used Lamy and medium again, just to, I don't want it to be too dense, especially on the white, on the fur of the white. I've missed a bit of red there. You can see the trim of his coat, that needs to be red. But the beauty of red is because it's such a, again, it's another quite strong coloured quite strong pigmented colour. And when I come around to applying the next layer of paints, the second base coat, if you will, I can just go straight into that bit. It won't matter too much because red's quite a fun paint to use, really, when it comes to, first of all, you know, for that whole, it is quite densely pigmented. It goes on very nicely, but also when you come around to highlighting it up later on, it's just a really nice paint to work with, red. Same as blue. I'm sure I covered that in my Stormcast video. I haven't, keen-eyed observers will also notice, haven't painted his teeth, which I'd have gone with bone. Haven't done his the bauble hanging from his ear. But in deference to what I was saying in the earlier videos, that's fine. These are mistakes that I made now. I know where they are. When I come around to painting it later on, it's not the end of the world. It really isn't. You know, it's a frustration, certainly, for you as well as for me. Trust me on that one. But it will work. It will still work. And as you can see, I'm just applying a Nuln Oil wash to the smoke part of the fuse fire smoke. As I get around to doing some wet blending later on, that'll be more, that's the word I'm looking for. Not more elegant, but it'll be more attention paid to it, certainly. That's fine. It's one of those, because I'm holding it at a weird angle, because I can't really get it's one of those where once I've glued it onto the base, I'll be able to rotate the model a lot freer. Holding it in a pinch with your finger and your thumb, it creates an awful lot of tension in your hands, so there's a little bit of shaking of the model. Not ideal for detail work, especially on a tiny model like this. So as soon as I can get it onto the base, I will do. It might be one of those where I actually paint up the entirety of the base before I move on to the Gobbo for the next stage. We'll see. Yeah, there's the candy cane, by the way. How cool is that? I will paint the candy cane up properly. It is a tiny, tiny thing, but it's almost two-dimensional in that it's flat against the coat, so it'll be quite easy to make sure that gets done right. Getting the candy cane effect on the TNT, little more of a struggle. It's not that I'm not going to give it a go, it's just it might not work. Okay, and last but by no means least, let's get our friend Crimson Carroburg out for the red of the coat and his hat. As this is a quite dense wash. When it's applied directly to a model, it can, depending on the type of model, it can appear quite dirty, which isn't so great if, say, you're painting Blood Angels, or, you know, again, there is no real good race in either of the games. It's shades of grey, isn't it? But the cleaner, more noble aspects, you want to be a bit careful with Carroburg because it can come off as a bit grimy. But for the red Gobbo, it's just perfect. I mean, look at how it's... First of all, it's sinking very nicely into those seams, which is fab. That's what I want. It's giving such a deep red, slightly grimy look to the red Gobbos. Great coat. It's lovely. It's a lovely, lovely wash to use. I'm a big fan of it. And again, there's going to be bits where I've either missed deliberately or by accident. And that's fine. Because it's such a fiddly model and the way I'm holding it, because of it's a sub-assembly, I'm probably going to miss certain nooks and crannies. That's okay, because when I get around to doing detailed work anyway, I don't mind going over... Oh, completely out of shot there, sorry folks. I don't mind having to go over, like say with the collar there where I've missed the red, I won't mind necessarily going over that again with the wash if I need to. Just bring him back in shot. If anybody can hear the rain against the window, apologies. It is that time of year. We're in winter after all. But I don't know if this microphone on the phone is picking that up or not, but it is coming down quite heavy. And there we go. I think, oh, you know what I haven't done? The black on his boots. And I'm just going to go all in with this because I'm not going to bother watering it down. They are black boots. I don't think I did the bandoliers as well either, and these bullets, so... Now you see there's quite a lot of bleed there from the boot into the fur of his coat. That's fine. I don't mind that so much. Again, it's that whole grimy, dirty. He is a greenskin after all. They are a very anarchic race. There's a certain charm to how makeshift they are. A better painter than me, a more invested painter in me might not. But again, as we've seen with the Stormcast, this stage, it's not. Yes, it's always important to be neat, and yes, it's always important to, where you can, colour within the lines. And I'm a big advocate of that. But there's also a point of, don't beat yourself up if there's a bit of spillover and bleed. You are going to layer up and layer up and layer up and layer up. You know, it's with this model, I'm looking at another, like a secondary base coat layer, and then there'll be the next layer up in colours anyway. So the layer level, as Games Workshop would call it. Possibly another one before I even get to edge highlights. It's a centerpiece. You know, it's one I am going to want to take a little bit more time on. But yeah, there we go, folks. There's the wash applied to the red Gobbo. I'll bring the base back in shot. That's the wash is done. I will leave him to dry now, overnight at the very least. Thank you again for watching. Thank you for your patience with the hiccup at the beginning of the video and the hiccup with me spilling an ink midway through this video. Once again, I'm extremely grateful for all of my viewers and my subscribers. If you have liked this video, please like it and consider subscribing. If not, that's cool too. And if you have any friends who you think might enjoy it, spread the word. Apart from that, I will see you in the next video. Thanks again, everyone, and ta-ta.